So, Yasmin, where and when were you born?
So, I was born in Constituição do Coité. It's a country town in Bahia, Brazil. But I came to Salvador when I was 2 months. So I was raised here. And I was born 10th of January 2002.
So that makes you 18 and a Capricorn, the mountain goat. They're strong-willed people as a tendency. Is that an accurate description of you, a mountain goat?
Yes, once a friend of mine said I was a rock with glitter because I am strong and I'm also sensitive. So I like to say I am sensitive and acidic because I am strong and also delicate.
Dedicated, right. And you have Cancer rising in your astrological chart, like me, which makes you sensitive. Do you know where your moon is?
Uh, I don't remember. I'm sorry.
Doesn't matter. It's not really the topic. Where you have a younger brother who's 9. Is he? What are his interests? Is he like you, a leader?
Yes, and I'm very shy, but he's the opposite. He speaks up more than me in that age. He's 9 years old and he talks and he likes so many things. He likes play games and he likes mathematics. He likes studying technology just like me, and I think it's really fun.
Oh, nice. So you're in high school. What's been your focus in terms of your studies? What are you most interested in?
In the STEM area, science, technology, engineering, and arts and mathematics. I like science. I am in love with science since I was a little girl. But I also love poetry and arts. And I believe in like Ada Lovelace, uh, poetic science. I I like that idea.
What would your ideal university choice be, and what would you study? What will you study in university when you go?
I think electrical engineering, but I also like science of computing science. I think it's a good option too.
Is Brazil like the U.S., where women are a minority in the STEM fields, except maybe life sciences like biology, pre med? There's women, but not in the computer science or in engineering. It's not. There's not as many women.
Yeah, it's a really critical problem we have across the world. No, once I was in a team and we were 8 peoples, but there was 7 boys and me, and it was really difficult. But it's a common situations like that
Right.
because there's a lack of women in science and STEM areas. So there's a whole explanation behind the scenario.
And what is that explanation, especially in Brazil, which you know the best?
So when I discuss this question, I like to introduce with a simple exercise, which I'd like to suggest for you either. Um, Remember the times you identified with a personality, a character from a book, from a movie, or even a famous person. It happens mainly when we're children and we're building our personality, our vision about the world, and that causes an impact. I remember saying I was some female personalities from things I read, but I was never able to say I'm Isaac Newton or I'm Albert Einstein from the book science, which I also read a lot. And it's important. It's about references, and more specifically, scientific references. And when I talk about it, I'm talking about the idea, the built idea of scientists. And when we hear or read the word scientist, we picture what a scientist looks like. So it's a association process, you know. And thinking about it, I created a project, and I called 2 friends of mine to be into it with me, and we are studying the representations in science. And when we ask people to nominate one scientist, they say always men and Marie Curie. You know, they don't know women in the area, and that means when they hear or when they read the word scientist, they think in a man, and that's the reference we are cultivating to create the idea of scientist.
I've seen studies where they ask students to draw a scientist, and it's rarely a woman. It's a male figure that is in a lab or has a test tube or something like that. Have you, as part of your project, have you asked people to draw a scientist?
Yes.
And do they ever draw a woman?
No, I have the data here. I don't know. I believe it was. Oh my god. 64.1% didn't nominate any women, any, and 35.9% said one woman or 3. You know,
And
it's
who were your subjects? Who were you interviewing?
we created a survey, so the people were answering. It was anonymous, so we didn't have this information.
But were they students? Where did you get your survey respondents from?
Students, teachers, a focus where the representation in educational environments, you know, and work environments. So there were education, students, teachers, and some people of our family. We sent the survey to.
And how many respondents did you gather?
Oh, let me see. 345.
Interesting. It would be interesting to do it again. Keep it anonymous, but get their gender and age, and see if there's gender differences.
We made that analysis.
If you were in charge of the curriculum in your area, in, let's say, in Brazil, what would you do to encourage women to go in, girls to go into the STEM fields? If you have total power, what would you do?
My project is in this area. Like I said, there are things mainly happens when we are child, when we are children, and we are building our personality. So if I had this power and across the world, I would make programs to encourage girls earlier and showing them they can see themselves in the scientist figure, and showing, hey, have you ever heard about Ada Lovelace, about Yvonne Brill? You know, they don't even know their names, and they don't even know, like, this interview is only happened because of many women, because computing science and technology in general is an area built for many women. And I would show them these names, show them these women, and encourage them to do small projects in teams to create new things and create a conscience about technology and about the issues we can deal with technology. It's really interesting.
Mm-hmm. Why is it that you aren't one of the majority who thinks, oh, STEM fields are masculine, they're for men, I want to do something else? What's there about your family background that encouraged you?
My family always supported me and my education, so they believe me and they encourage me to do the same. They told me to stand up for myself, and I believe it's really important in the area. We need to speak up. We need to stand up for ourselves and for others, and including other women. They said I have always to fight for my rights and justice, and I believe knowledge is for everyone.
Um,
It's about justice.
may I ask if your parents are university educated? What is there about their backgrounds that makes them so egalitarian and progressive?
They're not. They're not. But they don't want the same happen to me or my brother. You know.
Interesting. But what there must be something in their background that made them have this kind of progressive worldview. Any ideas what that is?
My mom always told me histories when she was going to school, and the people were saying, "Oh my God, why are you doing that?" And she said to me, "I wanted to study, and no one could say to me I was not able to do that." So I believe
Yeah. So did she just has a high school education?
yes, high school education, yes.
And does she work outside the home?
Sorry,
Does she
what do you?
have paid work outside the home? Employment?
No,
Hmm. So she's a bright woman who didn't have the opportunity to use all her talents, and she wants you not to. I see. Got it. Very interesting. Um, what you're? I know that you're interested in robotics. Is that a particular interest of yours? And if so, how did you learn about it? And do you have things that you're building, or what? Tell us more about robotics in you.
when I was a child, I was looking for some robots. I read a lot about it, and I never thought, oh my God, I could build them. And now I can, because I am part of a research group in systems of automation, mechatronics. It's called GSM, and we participate of, uh, let's say, we build robots for competitions. We are competing in FLL, First Lego League, the OBR, Olimpíada Brasileira de Robótica, Brazilian Olympics of Robotic, and we don't have many girls in them. So we are now part of a female center in research in science, technology, and innovation called Lovelace. It's only for women, and we make projects to encourage other girls to come in our research group in their area.
And is that sponsored by a university, that girls research group?
Sorry?
Who sponsors the girls' research group? Is it a university sponsor who organized the group?
It's IFBA. The institute has many research groups, and the female center is in Jesan.
And
it's in the.
It's a university as well as an institute.
Yes.
And then the robotics, the work that you do, is that through your high school?
Yes. I'm high school, but I'm in competitions.
That must be an extraordinary high school, because there's very few high schools that have robotic groups. Tell us about your high school.
Oh, I have normal subjects, and the robots are not into the curricular subjects. It's out. It's
extra.
Yes, it's extra. So it's an extra activity, and IFBA is also about research and science, but not only classrooms. And we had a mentor who always said that to us, to not only just sit down in a chair and study. It's not what a person who's a student and a kid knowledge have to do. We could make more than that.
Yeah.
And
so it's not just reading about it, it's doing it, creating.
Yes.
In the high school group, how many people are there, and about what percentage are girls?
I don't know this data. I don't know how many girls are in school in general, but we made 50. I don't know. I will look for this information, because I never had direct access to this information. I don't know if they keep this information about how many girls are many. Also, if this information is public to me, like a student, to access.
But in your high school, you know the people in the group, right? In your particular high school?
Yeah.
How many girls?
Oh, like in my classmates, 7 girls, and there 29 persons, 29 and 7 girls.
Got it. And do the boys think
26.
26 overall and 7 girls?
Yeah.
And is the attitude of the boys, you're different, we need to help you, or do they treat you like an equal?
No, they don't. No, they don't treat us like equal. It happens a lot. Oh, I have to help you. And sometimes our voices are not listening. Sometimes a man say the same thing we girls said, and he owns all the credit. And there's a lot of mansplaining and men interrupting, a lot. It happened.
That is so typical.
They're learning because all of the girls are feminists.
Yay.
And yeah, all of the girls are feminists, and we don't put our heads down. That we stand up for ourselves and we help each other. It's really important.
Right. So if they're being patronizing or interrupting, you say something. You speak up.
Yes.
Are the boys learning?
Yeah, I think they're learning. Some of them came to me and said, yeah, I didn't know that, or I didn't notice that. And I think they're learning, but there's some things it's natural in their minds. They're learning. It's a process. I don't specifically judge them, but I have to speak up
Oh, yeah,
because if we think it's natural, we're never gonna change that.
absolutely. When did you start thinking of yourself as a feminist and thinking, I am a feminist?
I believe I was always a feminist, always. But when I think about the term feminist, I was like 14 years old when I recognized myself as feminist. I like to say I am a woman and consequently feminist because as long as all women are not completely free to move themselves in this society, I believe feminism will be our move in it.
Right. Um, when when you think about books that influenced you in your understanding of the world, what books have been important to you? I'm asking that because it seems like today young people mostly get their information from social media. They get reports, they get things from their feed, but I'm interested what books have been influential for you.
Okay, I'm very bad in saying names because I always forget. But I was always a reader, always since I was a child. My mom said she was quiet with books, and that was me. I like to get information in social media, but not only in that environment, because I believe it's a restricted area and it's not like official. I always like to read. I read science books, I read romance books. It's a whole world for me, and I like to read, I like to write too, and it's a really important reference for me, reading and writing, and not only putting myself into a cell phone and looking for information in that area. I believe it's a really mistake. We are not giving the value we should give to the books and the knowledge we could learn from that.
Um, your generation Z is kind of uniquely outspoken and in leadership positions like in the climate movement. And I wondered why you think your generation is so outspoken and forward thinking. What's going on with Gen Z?
I believe it's a reflection of a legacy because there were so many people that came before us, and we can learn a lot from them. But I believe the globalization and all these factors, we have more access to information than other peoples, that came before us. And I believe it's a movement into progress when we think about information, about the democratization of knowledge. I believe it's part of this thing. The knowledge we can do things, it's kind of a legacy thing. People came before us and we are reflected by that.
So you're building on their foundation.
Yeah, I believe in this.
Right. I know that you're starting to get interested in the climate movement because obviously, if the planet is being destroyed, nothing else is as crucial. So, what do you see in terms of the climate crisis movement in your area and what you know about what's happening in Brazil, say?
In Brazil, there's a lot of things, and the people are not paying attention in these questions. And I believe we need to look to this question in a systemic way because it's whole thing. we are part of it, and all of this is connected. And I am learning a lot because people around me, they don't know a lot of it. And there's the story, oh, it's climate change, and these questions are questions to other countries. Brazil doesn't have too much to think about it because this question of development, you know, and people around me, they don't know a lot of it, and I am learning with other people I didn't know. Recently I came into a group of women called Eco Women, and we are learning a lot with each other, and I'm thinking about a lot of questions I have never made to myself before this study, and I am trying to expand my conscience about it, and the people around me either. Our president doesn't help too much, and it's 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 a critical situation. We have to speak up about it.
I want to hear more about Eco Women, but I read an article recently that Bolsonaro was saying, okay, we're going to send in troops to prevent logging, we're going to prohibit burning during the dry season to make more farmland. And he did it because banks were pressuring him and financial agencies were saying lenders don't want to lend to a country that's not taking care of their environment. So it looks like he's shifting a little bit. Have you heard any of that kind of shift from Bolsonaro?
Yeah, I learned about it. I have read some news about it, and I believe it's a question that it's connected to economic system, capitalism, and it's important to question this system. And even in the situation, this pandemic situation, a lot of things are face to face to us, and people are discovering, oh my God, capitalism doesn't help us very much. So I have read it.
I think people are most concerned about the Amazon rainforest because it's like the lungs of the planet, that it absorbs carbon dioxide and releases oxygen. So I wonder if Bolsonaro cares about that. In the past, he said it's a Brazilian issue. Don't talk to me about it. But if, as you say, with globalization, the Amazon is the lungs of the world, not just Brazil. So, do you hear about groups that are fighting to preserve the rainforest?
I hear. I don't think he cares. He truly cares about it. No, I don't. I really don't think. I think he is acting in a patriotic way, but he don't really care about it because they made that pretty clear to us, and there are many groups that are manifesting about it, but they not receive the attention they needed. Bolsonaro, he doesn't care about the social issues, the environment issues. He only cares about stuff like his family and things that affect him directly. He's not doing very much for a country.
Mm-hmm. Um, Tell me more about Eco Women. Who founded it? When was it founded? Is it national or local? What are the goals?
Um, Laís Lanchier is her name. She created the project with other women, and it's a project that was born in Brazil, but it's international scale. It is connected to the U.S. Embassy in Brazil, and we are learning about situations that affect whole world, because we need to make the difference not only here, but in the world, thinking in a systemic way.
And when did she start it? What year?
It's kind of recent. It was a couple of days. We are selected, made about essay, and we made an interview. And I don't know the day specific. I will look for.
It was this year, 2020?
Yes, it was this year. I believe there's no like a month ago.
Oh, and what's her background? How did she come to do this?
I didn't hear.
The founder. Is she a scientist? Is she a teacher? What's her background? The woman who started it.
She is a teacher, and she is involved in environment studies and environment situation. She made a research project in this area.
And is she a teacher in high school or university, or what level?
University.
So she's a university professor.
University.
And I see. And so to be a member of the group, you have to apply and have an interview to be part of the group. Should I repeat that?
I believe I have back. I didn't hear what you said.
I said, to be a member of the group, you have to apply and be interviewed. You can't just sign up. Yeah. And then how do you stay? Yeah. Are there like chat groups or WhatsApp, or how does the group communicate?
We have a virtual class. We made virtual meetings in Google Meet. And we have groups in WhatsApp.
And are there smaller groups, like task groups within the larger group, or is it just everyone meets as a whole group?
It depends. There is a group. They divided the girls in some teams, but there is a bigger group where is all the women.
And what are the names of the teams? What are their functions?
The teams are divided to think how to connect the projects. You know, we don't have name for the team, but there are teams that are thinking how to connect the projects. The project is more related and could create something together.
So right now it sounds like it's informational, that you're learning more about the issues. What kind of projects do you see emerging where the group will do something to make change?
The group do something because some of the girls have the projects in idea. Some of the girls have the projects running, like me and other girls. And we are learning ways to improve our projects, to make them connect in themselves. And they are supporting us to go forward with our projects. And we are learning about many things, about the environment questions, about human rights and women rights, either arts and emotional intelligence. All the subjects too gave us the support the required support to run our projects.
And
It's
are you doing a project in addition to the robotics project? Do you have a more specifically environmental project?
I once create a docem mostra. Once we made a explosion with technology and environment questions. We bring them together once, and I was running it. I was the leader, and I called the people, and they came to my uh, childish school, and we made a project to use technology and using technologies in a sustainable way.
So specifically, what did you make?
I was coordinating the people in this project. We made small projects, like something like um, a robot made from materials. How do I say
Recycled?
Recycle. Oh my gosh, recycle materials. Like that, small projects. But my project is focus and erasure of women science, and I am thinking in unite this question about the environment questions, because I don't know if you ever heard about it, but there's hackathon, and we can use technology to think about the environment issues. So my project, I think the girls should be thinking in teams and how to think about the environment issues with technology, something like that. And they are thinking about other problems, and environment question is one of the questions that we will discuss.
Wonderful. Do you know how many girls are involved in it at this point? How many members?
In Eco Women?
In Eco Women.
There are 17 young ambassadors. But there's a big team of women. Big team. I don't know how many, but there's a big team of ambassadors, volunteers.
So when you're on a group chat, it's more than the 17, or it's the 17 young women?
More than 17.
Oh, because there's older women involved as well.
Yes.
Got it. Maybe you could send me the web page and that kind of the links to the projects, and I'll include it on the YouTube. So, how did your English get so good?
I don't know. I learned it by myself, but I use it to hear a lot of music in English, read a lot in English. I don't know. I studied the subject in school, but I was like, I need to go forward, and I watch movies in English. I like to make a joke about it. When people ask me, when did you learn? How did you learn? I joke with Barbie, because when I was a child, I liked to watch Barbie in English. It was fun.
I didn't know that Barbie had movies about her. They're Barbie videos?
Yeah, they're Barbie movies.
Oh, I had no idea. Does she have her high heels and her little sports car and the long blonde hair, the whole business? Did she?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, Barbie taught you. Well, that's good. You know, there's a famous story that Mattel, the toy company, at one point had her say math is hard. Did you hear about this story?
No,
There
I
was a
didn't hear about it.
talking Barbie, and she says math is hard, and that got a lot of criticism. So the toy company Mattel took that away. So Barbie no longer said math is hard.
When I was a child, I think, oh my gosh, Barbie is everything she wants to be. She's an electrical engineer. She is a scientist. She is a doctor. She's, oh my gosh, she's everything she wants to be.
Ah,
And
she changed. um,
good, it's good.
when you think about the future, like with climate change, are you optimist or pessimist? Are you hopeful or not hopeful?
I'm worried. I'm worried, but I think I tend to believe we still can change the situation if we pay the necessary attention, you know. But it's a really hard question to answer because I'm worried. I'm really worried, but I believe we could make the difference. And if we don't believe, we don't put ourselves into it. You know, if we lost the hope, we don't try anything.
You know,
It's
I just read a book by Viktor Frankl, who was in a Nazi concentration camp during World War II, you know, where they put the Jewish people in the camps. And he said that the people who made it out of the camps, who survived, were not necessarily the strongest men, but they were the ones who had hope. And they, you know, they would think about food that they would eat because in the camp they only had a little bit of bread and watery soup, or you know, they think about their wives or their kids or something. So the people who had hope lived even if they weren't the strongest.
yeah, I believe it's about that. And
Yeah.
I was I used to ask, uh, like when you make a wish. When I was a child, my wish, I want to have hope. I I didn't know what that means. I was a child, and I believe maybe it's because of that I am so hopeful in
Mm.
people, in things, in the questions, and the difference we can make.
Mm. Where would you like to go to university, and when will you go?
Uh, I I will go to university. I believe when I am in fourth year, uh, I'm finished my high school. Not actually, I finished my high school, but I still have some learnings in industrial automation. I have to do it still. So I want to maybe electrical engineering or computing or science computing science. But maybe next year, or it depends because I'm not having class currently, and I believe maybe next year, but it depends of the calendar because I'm not having class and I'm still worried about it.
Um, so they're not having virtual school in the pandemic.
Not now. We were having this to finish the year, but now we we don't have it. They are still discussing and thinking how to do this because there's so many people that don't have the access procured. You know, there's so many people that don't have a computer or a cell phone, and they're trying to make something to solve this question.
When when
And
I
then,
when I was in Rio de Janeiro, I got to visit a favela, at where the low income people live, and it seemed like their life was just about survival. When I walked in, there were gang members in their motorcycles watching over everything. There were bullet holes in the walls where the police and the gangs had had fights. The alleyways were so tight the sun couldn't come through, and when it's rainy the sewage would go in between the houses. So for people who grow up like that, it's just about survival. Am I going to make it to 25? But it doesn't seem like there's a lot of discussion about the people who live in the favelas or the people in rural areas who don't have access to technology. Do you hear that being discussed?
I hear because in IFBA we made actions to bring this young people to know technology and stuff like that. But there are many social projects thinking in these issues, and it's a really really important questions.
Yes, really, it was very sad. Is there anything that we haven't talked about that you think is useful information that people should know about climate change, women in technology, the environment, anything that we missed?
I don't know actually. I think we discussed it a lot, and I love it.
Okay, thank you.